off and on the floor with this new contract?
Well, that's a great question. I want to launch a project to bring Black Wall Street here to Boston. I want to attack the wealth disparity here. I think there's analytics that supports that, stimulating the wealth gap could actually be something that could be betterment for the entire economy. With the biggest financial deal in NBA history, it makes sense to talk about, one, your investment in community, but two, also, the wealth disparity here that nobody wants to talk about. It's top 5 in the U.S. It's something that we can all improve on. It's unsettling. And I think through my platform, through influential partners, through selected leaders, government officials, a lot who are in this room, that we can come together and create new jobs, new resources, new businesses, new ideas that could, highlight minorities, but also stimulate the economy and the wealth gap at the same time. I think that could be a mix of commercial entities, real estate, residentials as well. Boston could be, a fully integrated, self-sufficient, hub, attacking minorities and stimulating the wealth gap. I think Boston could be a pilot, not just for wealth disparity here in the U.S., but also for around the world. So you asked me what I wanted to do or what I want to do. One, I want to, attack that wealth gap here in Boston, create a project. Also, I want to help stimulate the overall economy, and I want to bring Black Wall Street here to Boston.
Yes, we are back deep in the second hour. We are knee deep in the second hour. It is now 7:38 p.m. Hope you love the Buddy Guy, one of the great guitar players of all time. But that voice you just heard was Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics, who just signed a gigantic 5-year, $304 million contract. $304 million.
Money, money, money.
Yes. Money, money, money indeed. Just signed the richest deal in history. So that's 5 years, that's over $60 million a year. Wow. As you heard, he said he wants to bring Black Wall Street to Boston and tackle the unsettling wealth disparity in the city and stimulate the overall economy. I say, look, as I talked about at the top of the show, Jaylen Brown is a very socially conscious brother, a smart brother, a brilliant brother. Okay, he the last 5 or so years he's been in the league, because I believe he's only 26. I want to say he's 26 years old. He's been involved in so many socially conscious things. Yeah, he's only 26 years old. He went to Cal Berkeley. Like I said earlier, this is a man who is always he's always looked out for being his community, for being a beacon of light, being a good role model. He was actually criticized for being too smart to play in the NBA. Think about that. So this just tells you the type of brother this is. He was only 22 years old when he became the NBPA youngest elected vice president. So when he became the vice president of the National Basketball Players Association vice president, he was only 22. This is a man who speaks on the importance of education and technology at Harvard, his alma mater, UC Berkeley, and MIT. In 2019, he was named as a MIT Media Lab Fellow and has since collaborated with the university to create a bridge program which mentors greater Boston youth and high school students of color who are interested in pursuing careers in STEM programs. Through his different foundations, he's taken strong interest in tackling education and income inequality, amongst other social advocacy initiatives. To me, why this story is newsworthy, it's good. I think it's great that he wants to do things to help the community, whether it's in Boston or wherever he's playing or anywhere in America. But at the same time, listening to his press conference, I think I heard a little bit of what I hear in a lot of black people in this country, which is a certain amount of delusion as to what it's going to take and what we have lost as black people in this country. He says he wants to bring back Black Wall Street. His contract is for $304 million. Half of that is going to go to taxes. So he's really going to bring, after everything, taxes and everything, he's probably going to bring home like $100 million of that. The original Black Wall Street, the properties, the homes and the property would be valued at $200 million today. $200 million. So he just doesn't have enough money to bring Black Wall Street by himself, at least. Hopefully he's talking about bringing some other people in, you know, working with others. But I think the big problem that we have in the black community is that we always believe that the Oprahs, the Jay-Z's, the LeBrons, the Michael Jordans, these people can somehow save us or rescue us or help us make up the difference and sort of help us bridge the gap, the wealth gap in this country. And I'm telling you guys, they are just not rich enough. They're not. And you know, like I said, I think it's great when people do things, but I think, as I talk about on this show a lot, these issues are systemic. You're not, a few rich black people are not going to be able to really put a big dent in the type of issues that are facing the black community, because the issues facing the black community are the problems with systems that happens over hundreds of years when you have hundreds of years of wealth stolen from you, whether it's through slavery, through Jim Crow, through things like Black Wall Street. Like I said, Black Wall Street alone, their property, all those destroyed homes and property would be valued at $200 million today. $200 million. And that's just the property. That's just the property. The real economic devastation of Black Wall Street, and this is according to Black Taxed, would be closer to $60 billion in today's dollars. The $4 million of claims that were filed after the destruction of Black Wall Street, but they were never paid, it's important to state that they were never paid, were about 0.4% of the black wealth in the country at the time, which is the equivalent, hold on caller, to $6 billion today. $6 billion. That's the equivalent of what was at the time lost in Black Wall Street. And so if you look at the money multiplier effect, in which the black dollars used to generate 36 to 100 times before it left the community, because there were almost 200 black businesses, including lawyers, doctors, dentists, hotel, theaters, restaurants, etc. Now, this is just according to CNBC and Atlanta Black Star, that the dollar circulated 36 to 100 times before it left the community. So, again, including that money multiplier effect, the value would be close to $60 billion. That's what we lost with Black Wall Street. The equivalent of $60 billion of black community wealth. Okay. According to Sean Rochester, who's the author of The Black Tax, The Cost of Being Black in America, the cost of racism in this country to black people has been about $70 trillion. That's with a T. Okay? $70 trillion with a T. The most recent statistics have shown that in 2016, a typical middle-class white family in the United States had $150,000 in accumulated wealth, while a middle-class black family had only $13,000. A middle-class black family only has $13,000 in accumulated wealth. And so again, I respect what Jaylen Brown is trying to do. I respect what he's saying. I respect what he's doing. But we're talking about $70 trillion here of lost wealth that we're trying to make up here. The wealth gap between black America and white America was established through 250 years of unpaid labor that economists have estimated would be anywhere between 24 and $97 trillion of labor. In labor that was extracted from black people in this country from 1619 to 1865. For centuries, African Americans were left out of government programs designed to help citizens build wealth. In 1863, we were denied access to the Homestead Act, which promised 160 acres of land to citizens in exchange for a small fee and 5 years of cultivating the land. Over 70 years, 1.6 million mostly white homesteaders claimed 270 million acres of land, about 10% of America's land, which is today valued at 1.6 trillion. Black people completely left out of that. Black people were also excluded from the Social Security Act of 1935 because agricultural and domestic workers were left out of the act, resulting in a $143 billion loss to the community through a payroll tax. The Social Security Act provided unemployment benefits and financial benefits to retired workers over 65. The GI Bill, which almost exclusively excluded black veterans, provided funds for college education, housing, and unemployment insurance, and cost black Americans another $45 billion. It is naive to think that rich black athletes, rich black rappers, rich black singers, Oprah, Tyler Perry can't save us. They can do things in the community. They absolutely can, and we should applaud them when they do things in the community. But I think sometimes we get lost in the sauce of how we don't really understand how much has been taken from us and exactly how deep in the hole we are as a community. How broke in general black people are. We are broke. And so my man, the Funky Academic, I actually agree with him. I always talk about him. But he actually broke down a more constructive way to spend some of that money.
I say it's foolishness because that's not real money. You think it's real money because it's real money for you. But it's because you don't know, one, how expensive Boston is. It's the 9th most expensive city in the U.S. and how much buildings cost. Like, you, for example, you who think that Jaylen's $304 million is a lot of money don't know that, for example, hold on. The Obama Foundation, so this is Jaylen Brown. I'm going to build Black Wall Street. Great. Yeah, awesome. And the Obama Foundation, if you don't know, costs $830 million, right? So Jaylen Brown, if he spent his entire contract on building a Black Wall Street in Boston, he could probably get 2 buildings. Get 2 buildings. But you don't know that. You're just proud that he's doing something better than doing nothing, right? I mean, why are you hating his brother for trying? Well, that's actually a problem because that's not a serious attempt, and it actually confuses people on what the fight is. And before people say, like, all you come with negativity and you need solutions, I'm going to tell you the solution right now. The solution is you put the money to a federal push for a campaign for federal reparations. You put that money, all the money you hope to raise to build a Black Wall Street in Boston, you put that for a campaign for federal reparations, right?
Boom. I agree with the funky academic on some level. Like I said, though, I do think, like I said, we should give him credit for being a very conscientious brother. But there's no amount of delusional Pan-Africanism or Black American Native collectivism, or if we all just get together and do something that's going to help us. I'm sorry, it's not. It just isn't. Laws are going to have to be changed. Wealth is going to have to be redistributed to get us out of the economic hole that we are in Black America. We are down that bad, folks. All right, folks, I got to hit my very last break. Please stay with me here on WLTH 1370 AM. Mopping up after this.